What's up guys, Tony here coming at you with another For Honor video. Now this video is going to be kind of a little new series I want to do. I'm just going to call it Tony Talks. Basically, the name, if it doesn't explain itself, just going to be me talking about things, about gaming in general. I wouldn't say it's limited to For Honor. It's probably just going to be like around what games I'm playing at the time, and then we're just going to go from there. It's going to be completely unscripted. I just want to share like the thoughts that I have going on about a subject just off the top of my head. I don't want to write anything because then I feel like the ideas aren't as fresh off my mind, and I might, forget to add something in that I was thinking at some point. But we're gonna try this out. We'll see what we can do. So this one, if you guys can tell from the title, obviously, we're gonna be talking about if Season 5 saved For Honor. Now, what I mean by that is a lot of people had considered For Honor a dead game with, diminished player bases. You guys have all seen the articles written about, For Honor loses 95% of its player base in first few months, stuff like that. And yes, it did, obviously lose a bunch of players, and it has had its issues. Although we have had a pretty good dev team who's been pretty transparent to us, but I'm just not 100% sure those changes happened quickly enough. I'd like to reference something that I don't know exactly which video it was, but Archwizard CJ had a really good point. With all the reworks coming through in the dedicated servers, people aren't saying like, wow, this is awesome new content. They're more saying like, it's about time, which is definitely something you don't want to be having in a game when you're trying to add in its biggest update since launch. But those were things that we were expecting since launch, so it's kind of a letdown that it took them a full year to get these things out when people's expectations are higher than what you actually get. It's going to be skewed right from the start, so that's always an issue with the game. So just talking about Season 5, what did we have go on in Season 5? We had the first thing of reworks come out for characters that needed them, that being Kensei, Highlander got a little bit of a change, Conqueror, and Berserker as well. So all those characters got their changes, which is mighty well and good. Now, with those characters being added, we need other characters to be changed as well. Now, I know that it does take some time to get these reworks out, but they need to do them pretty quickly, because what's going to happen is, people might come back to their mains or whatever, if they get a rework and they're like, oh, cool. But as you rework the other characters, more popular characters who used to be on the list, let's say like Warden or something, who are now kind of phasing out, those players aren't going to be wanting to play the game as much, because their character doesn't have as much tools, or you're focused to rely on one certain aspect of gameplay, and that's just not as fun. So that's going to be pushing people out there. I know it is, it's not as easy as just saying, hey, buff some damage and we're good to go. They've done complete new animations, and obviously that takes time, but I don't know if the team is going to be large enough to really to be able to handle all these changes in the time that they need, because the rate that we should have updates happening to this game is, I don't think, feasibly possible for the team that they have at Ubisoft to actually get put out. It's just going to be slow and steady, and I think the game has honestly, unless something super crazy happens and we reach that peak point where we're like, wow, this is how the game should have been, and now we're only going up from here, I don't really see the game growing too much. Just going off the For Honor Steam charts, I'm not saying that this is a representation of the entire player base. This is only people who have bought the game on Steam. There's obviously people who bought the game on Uplay as well as the game on console. So just looking at it, there was an increase of players of about 10% from last month. The peak players has gone up quite a bit. We've seen rises like 9 to 12% from the past 2 months, which is pretty good, but that's not exactly cutting it. It may sound great right now, but going from 2,000 players to 3,000 players isn't that insane. And they probably wanted to keep that upward trend. That was when the Season 5 actually came out, and over the last 30 days the increase has only gone up just a mere 300 players, just looking at Steam, talking for this. And so that's probably not a huge increase that we're wanting to see. Yes, I've seen a higher peak player thing, but I'm still seeing the same things happen that we've had throughout the past seasons, that being, you get matched up against the same people over and over again in things like duels. Brawls takes a super long time to find now unless you're queued with someone. Deathmatch shouldn't even be in the game. No one plays that, at least on PC. You probably have better luck trying to find a actual tournament than a game in the deathmatch playlist on PC, and that itself has no one in it, the tournament playlist. Pretty much if you want to play the game right now, you're forced to kind of go either Dominion or Duels. In Tribute here and there, you know, Tribute has a decent amount of players in it, so you really have to go to either one of those playlists. So you're kind of already limiting yourself to a game that is already limited. This game, you know, appealed to a lot of people, right? Because the medieval things, knights, samurais, Vikings, taking three huge things from history and kind of warping them together, you automatically have fans from people who are fans of, you know, each of those factions. And then bringing in a fighting game like this that has never been done, you instantly gain the attention of people. But this game has never been like done before. There's never been, you know, a medieval RPG, you know, third-person fighter simulator game like this with this type of move set and everything that's going on here. So, you know, it doesn't have that pull in there, and I'd like to, you know, reiterate to a point again with Archwitcher CJ said, is it's kind of like an FPS. You know, FPSs are established. You know, medieval fighters aren't exactly established right yet. You know, you can have a great game in medieval, like if For Honor was a medieval story game, like Skyrim, or, you know, even like Shadows of Mordor, things of that nature, then you could probably see a more mainstream audience coming to it and playing it. But I mean, even like you've seen Kingdom Come Deliverance has had really good numbers recently, but the fact that this is like its own new entity and genre, you have to literally knock it out of the park, and it just seems like we haven't exactly gotten it knocked out of the park yet. We were kind of like sitting in the dugout still waiting to get on the field. We were kind of on the bench. So my next point I kind of want to touch on is we got the dedicated servers, obviously, in this season. That was a real big change that we've been clamoring for quite some time. Since Season 2, we've had tons of connectivity issues, mainly in like 4v4 things. You know, I didn't experience as much of those, so I wasn't as angry, I guess, as a lot of the community was, because I was mainly a dual player, and, you know, you don't experience as much of the disconnects in that. But we finally got them on PC. They work relatively well. You know, I have occasionally got disconnected from games, but at least at that point it's like on the server, and it's not basically like everyone else's fault. It's not like connection from peer to peer, it's just connection to the server. It's dropped occasionally. Maybe if I was doing a big session, maybe it would drop once a session, but you know, that's not too bad, and you don't get a penalty obviously for disconnecting from the server. You can go right back into the game. It is a little bit annoying, but dedicated servers has worked pretty well. I heard on console the launch was pretty bad for them, and people have been kind of upset about dedicated servers on console not performing that great at first, and then it's slowly gotten better from what I've heard. So that's good to see that going. But this has been something that it's been waiting a long time for this one, and this was the change. They had announced it, I don't know if it was Season 2 or 3 in that roadmap, and I think announcing it back then was good, but I think they should have given us a better time frame of when it comes out, because everyone was just waiting for them, and they were just like, dedicated servers are coming soon. So, you know, obviously there's a lot that goes into it. Not everybody, you know, honestly knows, you know, what it takes to switch a game over from peer-to-peer to dedicated servers. They obviously had to get new server locations. I think they doubled, or even a little more than doubled the amount of servers that they had going on, to add more servers in Europe, US, Australia, near Asia and such. So they obviously had to do that, and that takes some time and money on their end to do, and you know, they had to choose if that was the right investment, which, you know, in the end it is going to be really good. But I even saw on the Reddit now, since, like, you know, they've had all of these changes with Season 5, they're doing a new thing. I think they called it the PC Starter Edition. Now it's getting released on Uplay and Steam, so I don't know. There's a bigger market For Honor right now on console. Looking at it, you know, there are probably more players on PC in general, like who go through Steam and such, but the game has got a much bigger following on console. So I think that they should probably do a discount for console as well, because they're making this one really good for PC, when PC is honestly probably the most dead of any of the, you know, like any of the platforms, but it has pretty much most of the content creators are on PC. So the game's coming out with $15 USD. You get all game content, maps, modes, and events are available. No split between the standard edition and starter edition player bases. You get the 3 Vanguard heroes, and you get 3 additional heroes of your chosen faction are playable but not recruited. And then DLC, or unlocking launch heroes, is 8,000 steel, and then the DLC is still 15,000. But it is a very, very cheap game to purchase right there. $15. I think they should do discounts across all platforms if they're trying to get more players in there. They might have been doing it on console. I haven't exactly checked or been on my PS4 in quite some time, so I couldn't exactly say what the prices are right now. But yeah, they need to do some price cuts. But then when people see price cuts at the same time, a lot of people just assume that the game is dead or bad, and they shouldn't get it, because, you know, the game is obviously, you know, you see games that are doing really well at the same time, the company isn't going to drop their prices for like a while. You know, they might do an occasional like 20% discount, you know, instead of 60 bucks, you can get this game for, you know, right around 50 or something. So they would do discounts like that because they're still getting people purchasing the game and then making money from it. But right now it's kind of like, this kind of seems like a last ditch effort to bring more players in to the game. And honestly, it's pretty hard to bring new players into this game because the core player base right now are pretty much people who have played this game for a very long time, and it's going to be even more difficult for people who are new to adjust to the learning curve, because there is a pretty steep learning curve in here, especially if you're fighting against really good people constantly. And you know, they've tried to implement things like the new tutorials and practice areas and such, which could be helping people out, but obviously people are here for the online play, so it's going to be kind of more difficult for a new player starting out to get in there. And just overall in season 5, you know, they've added a lot of content, but honestly, like, I'd be fine if they added like very few like bits of content. Like, you don't need to do weekly content outfits or anything. Like, I want to see them do like weekly patches to characters, you know, characters that are still getting reworked, you know, that need some help. Give them at least a brief buff or something that, you know, tries to help them out. You know, Valkyrie has 25 damage heavies, bump those up to 30 or something. You know, give you know, Orochi maybe a little bit quicker side lights or something to try to, you know, dissuade people from using just only the top lights on the character right now. They can do some small changes to really help out some characters in the time being, to put their players in a more better spot, because a lot of people who, you know, main the characters, you know, myself included with Kensei, we're just like, come on, please, seriously, I need some help. Like, finally, it took them a year to get Kensei, and hopefully, I mean, it's not going to be just a seasonally thing. A seasonally? I don't know if that's a word. Seasonal, that's the word. I don't know if it's going to be a seasonal thing for when they just release an update here and there. Like, season 6, hey, 3 more characters get reworked, but yet 6 more characters still are garbage. You know, I want to see them do their best to get the characters out there. I don't care if we release a new character for a while, as long as we get all the characters kind of roughly on par, giving them all tools, then I think that's what we need. But honestly, I'm not 100% sure if it can be salvaged right now. I feel like there is a pretty large audience who enjoys watching the game more than playing it, and that's kind of saying something. You know, you look at a game like Fortnite, yeah, tons of people watch it, but yeah, tons of people play it. So it's kind of like, you know, they have the benefits of, you know, people watching and playing at the same time. Right now, people are just kind of watching because they get too angry at the game to actually play it, and that's never a good sign. But, you know, in capping this all up, I don't want this video to be super long, but did season 5 save For Honor? No, but it's a step in the right direction. But I don't know if the step was big enough to kind of get over the bridge or the cliff right now. They're still kind of hovering above lava, and you can see land in the distance. You know, you can see safety, but they're still quite not there, and they're moving kind of slowly. You know, I understand that the team does need time, and I appreciate the transparency that the dev team has given us, but right now, you know, the games sometimes, you know, with you know, lack of events and stuff, once the event ends, like Apollyon's Wolves event ended, and it's kind of gotten a little bit stale playing the game, and they released, you know, battle outfits last week, which was like meh. So you're just kind of playing the game, same thing over and over, rinse and repeat. You don't really get much variety in it, and it's, you know, you're limited already in the game to a certain amount of game modes, and you're even more limited because the player base is small, so you're limited to like 2 or 3 game modes, and it just kind of puts people into like a not wanting to play the game mood. And you know, I've been guilty of this myself. I haven't played it as much. I usually play it a little bit, and then maybe I'll play to record, but other than that, I don't know. So hopefully we can see some more progress in the seasons to come, and hopefully the game doesn't end up dying, because it is a really unique game and a really great concept. Just, you know, the execution was lacking a little bit. So that's what I'm going to go with on this one. Let me know what you guys think down below. If Season 5 has quote-unquote saved For Honor. I'm using saved pretty loosely, but just let me know your guys' opinions down below. We'll try to do something like this maybe once a week, a Tony Talks. If you guys want any topics or content or something to talk about, doesn't have to be For Honor related, just kind of in the video game scene, let me know down below, and I will be sure to keep that in mind. And if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you left a like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.